G'day guys, and welcome back to the iBoot Investor. Just want to once again thank you for watching the video, taking the time to learn about how you can improve your own personal finances. If you're a returning viewer, thank you very much. And if you're new to the channel, consider liking, subscribing if the content is useful for you. Today I want to walk you through 5 simple steps that I have uncovered with all the research that I've done over 10 years researching financial principles and money management, that if you use these techniques, they will guarantee success over the long term financially. Now, what are they? As you can see, the first step is to save $1,000 for an emergency fund. The second step is pay off your personal debt. The third step is to build up a 3 months worth of expenses in a separate savings account. The fourth step is to increase your super or retirement contributions to 15%. And your fifth step is to buy, and if you already have one, pay off your principal place of residence. Let's take a look at step 1. Step 1 is saving $1,000 for an emergency fund. If you look at the statistics, 56% of Americans cannot produce $1,000 in an emergency situation. For Australians, it's 55%. The numbers are identical. We are unable to produce $1,000 in an emergency situation. What's worse off is 40% of the people who would otherwise have an emergency situation up to $1,000 would use credit in order to fund it. Credit itself costs you more than the initial emergency outlay that has happened. If you have that $1,000 on hand separated in a bank account that you otherwise don't touch, when life happens, guess what? You can deal with it. Step number 2 is pay off your personal debt. Now, what I want you to do here is go down to the comment section and download the free template that I have created for you to help you organize your personal debt. Let's jump in to show you how it actually works. Now, if you take a look here, I've just put some examples down. On the left-hand side, it is where you list all of your debt. Now, I've just put random numbers in to show you for the purposes of this example. If you list all of your debt, the name of the debt, the total amount that the debt is, the interest rate, and then you work out what the monthly minimum repayment is, and you put that on the left-hand side, it will automatically shift the order that you put it in into what's called the debt snowball arrangement. The way that debt snowball works is you make your minimum repayments for all of your debt. You don't want that to build up any larger than what it is. However, we make extra repayments on our smallest debt number first. Once that number is paid off, and in this example, the smallest debt would be $100. Once that $100 debt is paid off, the additional repayments that you were putting towards your $100 debt now is put towards the next debt, in this case, the $1,000 debt. Once that's paid off, the additional payments that you put towards the $1,000 and the $100 debt goes towards the $2,000 debt, and it continues down the line. The beautiful thing about this particular spreadsheet is that it's dynamic. So if you take a look here on the left-hand side and you wanted to add an additional line, example 8, and we're going to put $50 for the debt, let's just call it a parking fine, and the interest rate is 10%, just arbitrarily picking a number, and the total monthly minimum repayment, let's just say, is $27. It automatically sorts it out on the right-hand side as the lowest debt remaining. So it would tell you to pay this debt off first. This is the power of debt snowball. There is something emotionally powerful when you pay off a debt. It gives you a sense of relief that you otherwise don't have. This is why the debt snowball is critically important, because other financial gurus such as Dave Ramsey or Scott Pape, the Barefoot Investor, both agree that paying off debt is more of a mental game than it is a logic-based game. A counter argument that many people have would be, why wouldn't you start with the debt that has the highest interest rate or the highest monthly payments? Because if you pay that off first, then you would be reducing your total amount of payments over the course of debt reduction. And you would be correct. However, if you were playing the logic game to begin with, you wouldn't have got yourself in the debt situation you would be in now. That is why it is critically important to reward yourself by knocking down smaller items first. Get that emotional satisfaction, take that money, pay off the next one. That is step number 2, paying off all of your personal debt. Step number 3, saving for 3 months of expenses. You have built habits by this stage. You have taken the habits of minimalizing your life and getting your $1,000 into an emergency savings account. The next thing you have done is you have built the habit of saving additional money and putting that towards your debt snowball. You can only get to step 3 once all of your personal debt is paid off. So you have been putting additional monies aside to pay off your personal debt. Now we're going to take that additional monies that you have learned to save, open up a separate bank account, and then save 3 months worth of your living expenses. Why are we doing this? This is something that we call insurance, except you're backing yourself. If you were to have a major financial issue happen in your life, and something does happen for everybody on average once every 10 years, a great example is losing your job. You would have 3 months worth of your normal living expenses put aside, which gives you the ability to live for 3 months with no impact on your life whatsoever. That gives you the time to get back up on your feet, get an additional income source, and then get yourself back in the game. Now, I might preface this by saying it's 3 months per person. If you're in a household family, for example, you want to make sure that you probably have 6 months of expenses, one for each of the income producing people within that relationship. Step number 4 is increasing your pre-tax retirement contribution to 15%. Right now, if you're in Australia, like I am, the income that you would otherwise receive from your employer, a 10.5% contribution of that is put towards your superannuation or retirement fund. What we want to do is buff that to 15%. Why are we doing it at 15%? Well, the money that you would otherwise get paid if you're on an average Australian salary of $65,000 would mean that you would be charged 32.5%. Now, you could be earning a lot more than that, which means that your tax rate could go all the way up to 45 cents on the dollar, or 45%. If you take your income and put 15% of it towards super, so an additional contribution of 4.5% as of right now, that money gets taxed at 15% and not 32.5% and not 45% if you're on those higher tax bracket numbers. Why is that a benefit to you? Well, it means that you get more money in your retirement account that gets to build up and compound over time. The less tax you pay to the government, the more money you can keep in your pocket, the more money you have in retirement. It is really that simple. The last point, which is point number 5, is to buy and pay off your family home. Now, you've built the habits of saving money through steps 2 and 3. That money that you will otherwise be saving is now being put towards a deposit for a family home. Ideally, you want 25%. 20% to get your 80% LVR from the bank and 5% to manage your closing costs so that you don't incur any additional unexpected expenses in the purchase of your family home. The money that you have now learnt to save is put towards aggressively paying off this home loan as fast as possible. When you succeed in doing this, you will be in a position where you have no debt, a house to your name, and a retirement fund growing at a minimum of 8 to 10% per annum. Every additional dollar that you get from this point forward is no strings attached. It gives you immense power to continue to build wealth and allows you to leave a healthy inheritance for future generations. Now, I want to finish by saying it's critically important to follow these steps in order. If something happens that was to affect any of these 5 steps in a previous step, you need to go back and sort that out before you continue to progress down those steps again. So, for example, if you're in step 4 and something happened to your emergency fund, you need to build up your emergency fund back to that minimum $1,000 as quickly as you can before you progress into step 5. Those are your insurance buffers to help you on your journey of becoming debt-free and wealthy in the future. I'm going to leave a link for you in the description below so that you can get access to the spreadsheet for your own debt snowball. I'll also create a separate video where you can see me working through the debt snowball as an example. Hopefully it'll help you in your journey. Thank you for sticking around to the end of this video. I really appreciate it. If you like the content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you on the next one. Thank you.